Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and as we head into the new year here in 2020, I want to start things off by doing something similar to what I did in 2019. I want to bring you the top 5 things that I'm going to stop wasting my money on in AAA gaming in 2020. It saved me a lot of money last year, and it helped make a lot of decisions for me because I didn't even have to think about whether or not I was going to buy certain things because I had already made up my mind and committed not just to you, but to myself, and put it out there on the internet, onto YouTube for everyone to see, so that I didn't step out of line. It sort of kept me honest, and it kept me sticking to my guns pretty much last year, as it were, and I saved a lot of money, and I want to do the same thing this year. And so this year I want to take a look and in my own small way push back against some of the bad monetization practices, some of the broken game releases, some of the unfinished products that keep getting shoveled down our throat. And I cover all this stuff throughout the course of the year, but really here at the start of the year, I want to start things fresh and say outright, these are 5 things that I am not going to put money down in 2020. And so the first thing that I want to discuss, something that I'm going to stop wasting my money on, and in this case, wasting so many hours of my life on, and that is, if your game is coming out and you're pitching it to me and you're calling it an MMORPG, rest assured I'm already out. I'm done, because I have seen enough, and I think many of you are going to know where I'm going with this. We have seen far too many of these quote-unquote MMORPGs, which are neither MMOs or RPGs of any kind, yet because there's some sort of online cooperative gameplay that's supposed to somehow make it an MMO, and because there's loot apparently, and levels, that apparently makes it an RPG these days. No. Neither of these things apply, yet we keep seeing these major publishers shoveling them out time and time again. And this year we saw one of the biggest failures that we've seen come down the line in the form of Anthem, a game which in many ways is even more of a failure for BioWare than Fallout 76 has been for Bethesda. And Fallout 76 is another game that falls into this camp. You have Ubisoft constantly pumping out games like this, such as The Division 2, and the common problem with all of these games are, not only do they want to sell you the baseline version of the game for $60, but they also want to sell you expansion after expansion after expansion. And if you don't keep up continuing to shell out the cash, you're going to get left behind, and eventually, even though you bought the game, you'll no longer really be able to play it in a functional manner unless you continue to give them cash for each iteration of every expansion. You'll get left behind. It's all built into the pie. Even a game like Destiny now, where they're more sort of moving into a free-to-play model now that Bungie has been free of Activision, it's the same type of issue. You still, you might be able to get into the game for free, but hey, here's an expansion, here's an expansion, here's an expansion, and all this nonsense. And the real problem, aside from the hundreds of dollars that you'll end up spending on these games, is that these aren't games that respect your time. These aren't games that say, hey, put in 20, 50, even 100 hours into this game and get a full experience. No, if you want a full, quote-unquote, experience from these games, you have to put in not even 200, 300 hours. They want 500 hours of your time. Sometimes people will play these for 1,000, 2,000 hours of their lives wasted to these games, just running the same. And the problem with all of these games that fall under the MMORPG category is that none of them offer more than 20 to 30 hours of actual content, yet they just expect you to keep playing it over and over and over and over again. It's actually, the games themselves are basically a version of a loot box, because they just want you to keep playing the same content over and over again, hoping you get a better prize the next time. It is just a colossal waste of money, and instead of wasting all of your money, they also waste all of your time. And I'm done with it. I am done wasting my time worrying about builds for games like this, worrying about which of my friends are getting the game, so if I'll have people to play with, am I going to have a party for the raid? Is there going to be matchmaking? I'm done with it. I don't want to deal with any of it. And you want to know what? Making that decision is a huge burden off me, because now when my friends ask me if I'm getting this game or that game, I'll just be like, nah, I'm not getting it. Sorry, and I've already made that commitment. Let's move on. Number 2 thing that I'm not buying in 2020. And that is, I am not buying or supporting any products made by Blizzard. And the reasons for this are pretty obvious, but getting into it a little bit further here, not only am I not going to buy any products from Blizzard in 2020, I've also already taken the step of deleting all of their games off of my hard drive. And that means no more Diablo 3. I know some people who watch me really hate Overwatch, but I actually kind of like playing Overwatch every now and again. I've deleted Overwatch off my platforms, and I am not playing any other Blizzard games. And I go way back with Blizzard. I'm not a huge fanboy of them, but I go back way before even World of Warcraft came out. I was playing Warcraft 2 on PC way back in the day. So I've been playing Blizzard games for a couple of decades now. And after they handled things this year, and after the non-apology that they issued at BlizzCon this year, and the fact that nothing can apparently come out of their mouths over Blizzard anymore without the phrase saying, "We're looking to unite the world through epic entertainment. We're looking to unite the world through epic entertainment. We're looking to unite the world through epic." I mean, it's a broken record over there, and I'm already sick to death of hearing it. They won't stop repeating it. We know it's all a load of horse crap, and I'm not supporting them in any way, shape, or form moving forward. And it really kind of sucks because oftentimes when I'm flipping through games that I'm trying to figure out to play, I'm like, I'll just pop on Diablo 3 for a little bit, run a couple dungeons, and then figure out what I want to play. It's a great time killer type of game. I'm not in love with it, but I do like just popping it on and running through. So not having that game kind of sucks, but I'm going to actually put my money where my mouth is, and I'm not going to support this company anymore. And I know a lot of people were saying the same thing a couple months ago, and then a week later you saw them all rushing off to WoW Classic. So I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm going to stick to my guns. Blizzard is off all of my hardware, and that's probably the way it's going to stay. Now, moving on, the number 3 thing that I am absolutely not going to buy in 2020, and this should be obvious if you've been watching my channel for the better part of the year, because I've done several videos about this particular entity, shall we say, and that is the Epic Game Store. Of course, because I mean, let's just look at the farce that is the Epic Game Store and what's been going on with that this year. Actually, I don't even know if we have time to get into it all in this video, because there's so much we could talk about. Can we talk about the hypocrisy of Tim Sweeney constantly talking about how he's trying to, save PC gaming and how important competition is, when in reality, all of these exclusives that he keeps snapping up, they're not even actually exclusives most of the time, because you can find half these games on Xbox Game Pass on PC as well, or on the game's individual store launcher. So in reality, it's really more of an anti-Steam movement than anything else that Sweeney's trying to pitch, while under the guise of trying to save PC gaming. And let's not forget the constant shilling that we get from the corporate media talking about how great the Epic Game Store is, and talking about how it's so great for developers, except it's actually not, you see. It's only good for the select few already high-profile indie developers that Epic seeks out to give the extra money to. I discovered and covered in great detail early in the year through a couple of videos the indie developer of the game Dark that came out earlier this year. You may remember I covered the videos about that earlier this year, and the corporate media instantly attacked this developer because he had the audacity, can you believe this, to turn down the Epic Store money and release his game on Steam because, gasp, that's what he told the players he was going to do when they were supporting him while he was in development. I know, it's the craziest thing of all time. We actually had an indie game developer who stuck to his guns and didn't take the Epic Store money because he didn't want to do wrong by the people that has been supporting him, the players. Isn't this the craziest thing? And he got a lot of publicity for doing that, and some people said it was cynical, and maybe it was, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to criticize someone for standing up to Tim Sweeney and the Epic Game Store. And this developer also shone a spotlight on how hypocritical Sweeney was when he suggested to Sweeney that in lieu of not having the exclusivity deal, that he could maybe put his game up on the Epic Game Store and donate the proceeds to charity. And Tim Sweeney outright directly ignored him, even though Sweeney had been in contact with him on Twitter up to that point when he was confronted with that gauntlet that the small-time indie developer laid down. Tim Sweeney met with stone-cold silence because it is all one gigantic scam. He's not trying to save PC gaming. He's trying to create another revenue stream for the Epic Game Store and for Epic as a company, which of course he is the majority shareholder in. and reaps all the benefits of. Once again, Tim Sweeney, one of the richest people on the entire planet. And I'm not going to help him spread his lies and make more money off of my back. It's not happening. I'm not installing the game. Any Epic games that I had installed on my hardware are long gone off my hardware, even though they've probably already, taken all my information anyway. But regardless, no more Epic Game Store nonsense. No more Tim Sweeney. Not happening. No money from me. Sorry, Coach Toolshed is out. No Epic Game Store. Let's move on. Number 4. And actually, number 4 kind of ties in to number 3 a little bit, because I want to talk about live service games. Now, the first thing we talked about, MMORPGs, those would fall into the live service realm. But I want to expand this out into generalized live service games. You see, in 2020, if you're trying to pitch me a game and you have no real information, but you have a roadmap that you're really excited to tell me about, the roadmap of upcoming stuff, and we got all this content coming down the line. We promise. Sure, things are a little bit bare bone now, but we have a roadmap. Well, sorry, I'm already out. I'm talking now about, like I said, games I mentioned earlier, the MMORPGs. Of course, Anthem. I'm talking about games like Sea of Thieves. I'm talking about really any game that requires a constant online connection and that launches in an early access state with bare bones content, and they expect you to just support them by buying microtransactions, cosmetic microtransactions, maybe some loot boxes. Just support us while we continue to develop the game. You see, game development is expensive and really hard, and we've been pitching this game to you for 3 years and only been developing it for the last 18 months, but we're going to try to sell you on it like we have some grand vision when actually it's going nowhere, and we're going to try to quell your anger and rage when the game launches by telling you some nonsense BS story about this roadmap that we've dreamed up. And then, once you know it, an entire year goes by and nothing on the roadmap actually gets launched at all. And, oh, by the way, we just did away with the roadmap. And now, these are things we're focused on. And like I said, the Epic Game Store that we talked about in the last point, they've done the same thing with their own storefront. But I want to stay focused on the live service games. But it's something that is now spreading out into platforms and everything else. It's gotten out of control. If I hear the word roadmap again in 2020, guess what? Odds are that alone is going to make me not buy your game, because that is how absurd this situation has gone with the lies and the false promises and the E3 presentations where nothing is truthful, and the interviews where the interviewers don't ask any actual tough questions from these people and just let them go up on stage and sit there in their one-on-one interviews and write these puff pieces for their websites where they just spin out whatever nonsense the publishers and the developers tell them to spin. And then we get stuck here holding the bag. People get all hyped up for this drivel, for these terrible unfinished games, and then Jason Schreier will write his expose hit piece explaining why the game was terrible, even though none of these employees decided to step up while the game was being made and tell Jason Schreier to write this story. No, it always comes out after the fact. After the game comes out and falls flat on his face, then we get the expose. Sorry if I'm not really enthralled with hearing about the failings after the fact. Maybe a little heads up next time, but it's not going to matter to me because I'm washing my hands of all of it. That's right, old coach, I'm just not going to buy any of it. If you're not offering me a game that at least has an offline mode where I can play, where I'm not going to be getting kicked off servers constantly because you can't keep your servers running for the first month the game is on, or where there's just countless bugs going on, I'm done with all of it. If you're not offering me at least an offline sort of campaign, I'm not interested in your game, because the AAA industry has shown me that they have no interest in actually releasing a finished, working product on launch day, even though they're happy to take your $120 for the Deluxe Super Special Edition. Yeah, it's enough. Let's move on to number 5. And number 5 is a very important one, although it's not anything specific, and it's going to be catered not just to me, but to your own personal taste. And what I want to say is the number 5 thing that I'm going to stop buying in 2020 is I'm going to stop being swayed by popular opinion or great reviews or whatever else for certain games. If it's a game or a franchise or a genre that I know that I don't like, I'm not going to waste my time and money playing and buying a game for a series that I know that I just don't enjoy just because it gets great reviews or even good reviews. A case in point this year might have been Gears of War 5. You see, Gears of War has been around for a long time, and I've tried to play them before. I've tried to play Gears of War 1, and I tried to play Gears of War 2, and 4. And now this year I tried to play 5, because it got great reviews. And the fact is, I can't even get out of the first act in most of these games, because I just don't like them. I'm sorry, maybe, if you're a Gears fan, I'm terribly sorry. I just don't like it. I don't like the way they control. I have no interest in the story. I have no interest in the world or any of it. It does nothing for me. And I like third-person action shooters. So it is a game that theoretically would be in my wheelhouse. But as it stands, I don't like the games. And yet, this year I found myself installing Gears 5 on my Xbox thinking, okay, well, this has got some good reviews. Maybe I'll check this out and play it. And again, I got a few chapters in, didn't even get out of the first act, and I put the game down, and I keep meaning to go back to it, but I have no draw, I have no pull, and I'm at the point now where I probably won't go back and play it, because I know I'm just not a Gears of War fan. And this goes across the board for any of these types of games. And like I said, this will all be suited to your own personal taste. Don't let the internet hive mind. Don't let great review scores dictate what games you're going to spend your money on. If you know it's a game that you're probably not going to like, don't roll the dice and waste your money. Wait at least until you get the game really cheap on a big sale. Don't go out and rush and buy a game. For example, the video I did yesterday, I talked about From Software and their games. And in the comments, I got several people who said, yeah, I can respect From Software, but I just don't like their games. And I totally understand that. And nothing I say and nothing anyone else is going to say is probably going to persuade a lot of those people to pick up those games and play it, because they just know that they don't like the games, and that's totally fine. And my suggestion to you is, don't even listen to me necessarily. I'm not saying that I should be the arbiter of your decision making for the year, but maybe listen to your friends that actually are playing the game, or maybe see if you can, like I said, get the game on a deep sale. But don't go out of your way and waste your money just because Metacritic says that a game is great, or just because your favorite YouTube reviewer said that the game is great. Actually, do some research. If it's a game that you don't think is going to be up your alley, just don't buy it. Just don't waste your money on it. It's not worth it. It's probably just going to sit in your backlog until you delete it. And let's face it, I'm right. Anyway, that's my list of the top 5 things that I'm not going to buy. This is my own small way. I know I'm just one person, but the people often say you should put your money where your mouth is, and I run my mouth a lot, so I'm going to put my money where my mouth is this year, and I'm not going to support any of these practices and any of these companies and any of these games that I discussed here today. Anyway, that's it from me, Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward, and as always, keep it turned to 11. I'll be interested to know what you guys have to say. Let me know if you already do some of these things. I know some of you probably take it even a little bit further than I take it, and some of you probably think that I'm crazy and there's no way I'm going to be able to stick to this. But anyway, I want to hear your feedback down in the comments below. I'll talk to you later.